Hello everyone, welcome to this video. This is a live stream tutorial on creating a replica of Color Switch, which is a really fun mini game that you can see how it works here. So if I hit play here, you can see that we have this ball that we can control by pressing the spacebar in order to jump. It's very much like Flappy Bird in this regard. And we can jump up here, and we can only pass through the color that we currently have our ball. And you can see our ball can change color along the way. So I need to get up here and kind of time it correctly. And you can also see that we have a little bug here where we can actually change to the same color that we're already on, but we can have a look at changing that. And it's really a game that you should expand upon in order to make more fun out of. But I just wanted to show you how you can create these basic mechanics in the color changing and hit registration, and you can really easily expand upon it to create more levels, more shapes, maybe even more colors, and definitely some power-ups, some scores, and some cool death particle effects. That's a lot of stuff to do here, but today we'll just sketch out the core game. So let's just go ahead and get started with this. So let's go File, New Project, and we want to, of course, create a 2D project, and let's call this one Color Switch Replica. There we go. And Unity is just going to boot up all of the necessary files in the background here. And meanwhile, I'm going to have a look in the chat to see how everyone is doing. Is it infinite? No, it's not infinite. I've done it. You could very easily go ahead and make this procedurally generated. Simply instantiate in circles using some kind of random prefabs selected from an array. Or you could go the route that I'm doing here, which is just allowing you to create your own levels. But you can do anything like that. It's really easy to add procedural generation to this. So, and hi to everyone who is joining. A lot of people tuning in. That's awesome. So let's begin by kind of changing our background here to a darkish gray, something like that. Not too inspiring, but we want all of our colors to be overlaid on top. Let's also go ahead and save this scene here because I am a chronic saver and I cannot stop myself from hitting Control S. Let's go ahead and save it as something like main so that I can spam that along the way. And let me see. Whoops, I have something open here that I want to close. There we go. So the first thing that we could go ahead and do here is maybe create the movement of our player. So in order to do that, let's go and create a new 2D object sprite. And the sprite that we want to select here is the knob. We can use that. You can also create your own circular sprite. And I want to set the scale here to something like 2 by 2, maybe 3 by 3. I don't want it to be too big. And the color here will just stay white for now, but you do want the base sprite to be white so that you can tint it during the game. If the base sprite was black, we wouldn't be able to change the color. So you can, of course, also have multiple sprites that you swap in and out, but we'll just be tinting this one sprite. So you can see now here that we now can actually control the color as we want, and we can do that at runtime as well. So let's go ahead and rename this guy to player. And let's also add a new component. And the component that we want to add is a custom C# script called player. And let's hit create an add. And let's double click this to open it up in Visual Studio. I hope you guys didn't miss too much. All we did was create a player script. And in here, we deleted the start method and the two using system tags up here. And we, of course, placed the script on the player. And now we are creating a variable called jump force. It's a public float. And I'll just default this to 10. And this is, of course, the height that you will jump. And then we also need a reference to our rigid body. We'll be creating a rigid body on the object in just a second. And you could use get component for this, but I'm just going to go ahead and make a public rigid body 2D and call it something like RB. So we can just drag it in the inspector. Then in the update method, we'll check if input.get button down, and the button that we want to check for here is jump. We could also go ahead and maybe check for a mouse click if you want to use that button instead. So I'm going to go input.get mouse button down, and the mouse button that we want to check for is 0, meaning the left mouse button. Cool. So oh, and we don't want this to be and, we want this to be or. So 2 vertical bars so that either one of these will trigger. Cool. Then we want to go ahead and jump. And we do this by saying RB dot, and we could go in here and add a force in the upwards direction using our jump force. But that is actually not going to give us the logic that we want, because if we go ahead and play the mobile game, or Flappy Bird for that matter, these games, instead of adding a force, simply change the velocity of the player. Because if the player falls a certain distance, we don't want the force to be competing with his downwards velocity. Instead, we just want to completely ignore that and then give him a straight upwards velocity, and that's going to give much more predictable movement. So we're instead going to go in here and say rb.velocity and set this directly to a vector2.up multiplied with our jump force, like that. Cool. So now if we just go in here and save that, we'll also go in and add a new component, and we're going to add the rigid body 2D and also a circle collider 2D. And the circle collider we are going to mark as a trigger, and we also want to adjust this, so I'm going to say 0.09, 0.08. I like this to be kind of a bit inside of the actual graphics, so that you're certain that you won't have a situation where the player went, I made that, and he really didn't. So you want that to be normally a bit narrower than the graphics of the circle. And then the rigid body here, I'm going to bump up the gravity to 3 just to make him fall a bit quicker. I find that just makes the game feel more interesting. And we can then take our rigid body and drag that into the RB slot. So now when we hit play, we should see that we are able to, yay, click our mouse or use our jump button in order to have this jumping movement. And it's actually already really fun to do this. So I could do this for hours. Anyways, so other than that, there's not too much we need to do. You could go into the rigid body 2D here and add a constraint on the x-axis and also freeze rotation around the z, just to make sure that our player will always only move up on the y no matter what happens. It's just good practice. Then what we want to do is, of course, have some kind of rotating color wheel. And you can make this a triangle, you can make it a square, some kind of something with polygons, and you could also make it a circle. It's totally up to you. I simply went into Photoshop here and created this circle here, which, using the rulers, which you can get like this, I split up into 4 different parts. One is cyan, one is yellow, one magenta, and one pink. And I then copied this into 3 different sizes and made sure that the thickness of the line was always the same. And then you can go ahead and export any one of these elements. So one by one, export these into a sprite, or you could go and make a sprite sheet out of this by simply separating all of them into kind of a single image like this, to make sure that you can splice it up any way that you want. So I went ahead and did this to the small circle, and that's what I have lying on my desktop here. So this is just 4 parts of a circle that I've separated out a little bit and colored in 4 different colors. And again, if you want to follow along using my version of this, I will have it up on GitHub when the video goes live on YouTube. So don't worry about that. There will be a link in the description if you are watching this on YouTube. Cool. So in here, we don't need to configure too many settings. Pretty much the only thing that we need to do is change the sprite mode from single to multiple, because we have 4 sprites in here. And we need to go into the sprite editor, hit apply, and we then need to go up here and say slice, and then slice. And now you can see that we've sliced, Unity has sliced this into 4 sprites. And if we hit apply now, it is going to be visible in the project panel as well. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4 circle parts here. So really quick and easy to do. Now we want to take all of these circle parts and drag them into the Unity editor to play with, into our scene view here. And we can maybe take all of them and actually we'll move these in a second. We'll take our player for now and drag him down a bit. And for the circle parts here, we need to, we need to set these up so that they align. So let's take our first one, which is the second one here, the one with index 1, drag that over until they align. And I'm just going to do this using the measurement of my eye, but you can, of course, go in here and do the math. I think that's fine. Then we're going to take the, I think it's this one. Nope, the magenta one, which is this one. And we need that to have the same X value as the yellow one. So let's copy the X here, paste it over here. And now we can take these last two ones, the pink and the magenta, and we can move those down together there. Awesome. And now we have a circle split up into 4 different colors. And again, be precise with this, but because we're on stream, I'm just doing this really quickly. So now we can go ahead and create an empty object, and we'll reset the transform on that, and we'll call this one something like small circle in one word. I'm going to do that. Cool. And we can take all of our parts and put those inside of the small circle here. And we can also align these to the center. So I'm just going to use the points where the color is split here in order to align it to the center. That would be there and there. Cool. So now we have all of these different parts inside of a parent object called small circle that we can place anywhere we would like. And when we now go ahead and rotate this parent object around the Z axis, we should see that our color wheel is rotating along. Awesome, just the way we want it. So we could go in here and rename the different circle parts now, just to make everything a bit easier. So let's name this one cyan, this one yellow, this one pink, and this one magenta. And I'm gonna drag the magenta up here so it's right before the pink one. And we need to select all of these different parts now and add some colliders. So let's go in here and add some polygon colliders. And this is not particularly pretty, I will give you that. But I actually found that it's the only collider that kind of works for this instance, because the circle collider doesn't have a radius, or I mean, doesn't have a width. You can see that doesn't really work for our case. We also have the box colliders, but it's bending. We could experiment with some edge colliders that might produce all right results here, but we would have to configure these quite a bit. So there's not really too much, that works better than the polygon colliders here. So I think we'll just go with that. We can take our player here and shrink down the radius of him even more to adjust for any kind of errors. It doesn't have to be too precise, I don't think, for this kind of game. Cool. So now we need to, of course, rotate our circle over time. So to do that, we go in here and we add a component on a small circle called the rotator. And this is also going to be a C# script. And let's double click that to open it up in Visual Studio, reload all, and everything is good. We can delete the 2 using system tags up there again, and we can also delete the start method once more. We do need a public float here, and this is going to be the rotation speed. And I'm just going to call this one speed and default it to maybe something like 100. So that means that we're going to move 100 degrees every second. So now inside of our update, we can take the transform of our current object that the rotator script is sitting on, and we can use the rotate method in order to rotate it around its center. And we want to rotate it 0 on the X, 0 on the Y, and we want to rotate it our speed on the Z, multiplied with, and this is important, that you write time.delta time in order to make sure that we even out differences in frame rate. I've talked about time.delta time a bunch of times. If you want to get a better understanding of it, I suggest you check out the Unity tutorial on bullet time effect or slow motion that I have on my YouTube channel. There we go into time.delta time, what it means, versus time.fixed delta time, and all these different time related stuff. So check that out if you want. For now, just make sure to write it here, because then our speed, our rotation speed, won't be frame rate dependent. Cool. So now that we save that, that should actually be all we need to do for our rotator script. It's just hitting play and it's rotating. And we also, of course, have our player movement working. So yeah, we have something that somewhat resembles a game already. Only thing is, of course, we aren't really able to lose or win, but let's just call it a game. We can call this one interactive art for now. So now we need to take our player here and make sure that it will always be drawn on top of everything else that we make. In order to do that, let's create a new sorting layer, and let's call this one the player layer, and we'll select our player and apply that sorting layer there. Now we are sure that he's always going to draw on top. Then we can go ahead and make the actual hit registration. And we do have colliders on our different circle elements. And we also have a collider on our player. So all we need to do now is go inside of our player script, and you could definitely put this inside of a separate script, and create a method that will register whenever we collide with something. And we know that method, it's one of Unity's built-in callback methods. It's on trigger enter 2D, and you use 2D here every time you're dealing with 2D colliders. If not, you simply delete that and you have the 3D equivalent. So on trigger enter 2D is going to be called every time we collide with something, and what we want to do is gather some information about what we collided with, because whether or not we lose or succeed totally depends on what color the object we collided with is. And we're going to define the color of the object using a tag. So we want to check, first of all, gather some information about what we hit, and then check if that tag is the same color as ours. And if it is not, well, then we messed up. So in order to gather some information about what we hit, we create a variable here called collider2, or of type collider2D, and we can call it something like col. Let's refer to it as col, meaning the collider that we just hit. And then we check if col.tag is equal to whatever color we currently have. For now, we can just go ahead and debug.log col.tag, and that means that whenever we collide with something, we're going to write its tag in the console. So now inside of Unity, we can go ahead and hit play, and we should see that every time we collide with one of these things, it's going to say untagged because we haven't applied a tag yet. Then for each circle element, we can go ahead and add a new tag, and we can go ahead and add all of the different colors to this tags array. We have the cyan, we have the yellow, we have the magenta, and the pink. Cool. So now for the cyan, we'll add the cyan. For the yellow, we'll add the yellow. For the magenta, we'll add the pink. Oh, I'm just kidding. We'll add the magenta. And for the pink, we'll add the pink. Cool. So now we have all these different objects with the correct tags applied. And yes, you could go ahead and use the name instead of the tag. It's maybe a bit too much that I have all of them change names as well as tags, but I think it's better to use tags because then you are reducing the amount of places that you could mess up your writing. So definitely recommend using tags for this. So inside of Visual Studio, we can now check. Okay, let's just see if this is working first. So if we play here and we collide with cyan, it says cyan. If we collide with yellow and magenta, it says yellow and magenta, and the same thing with the pink. Cool. So now inside of Visual Studio, we can check if col.tag is equal to, and then we can check if it's equal to yellow. We can check if it's equal to magenta, and you get the idea. However, we of course need to define a color for our player in order to do this check. So how do we assign a color to our player? Well, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, and this might not be the prettiest, but it's really easy to understand and quick to set up. So this is probably the way that I would go about it if I was doing a jam, and that is simply keeping all of the code inside of the player method. You could go ahead and separate this out into a color manager method that has an array of colors, maybe an enumerator or an enum instead, with the different colors, with nice, with a singleton pattern, and you can go ahead and call functions for setting and getting colors and all that fancy stuff. But that also doubles development time, and because this is a live stream, we'll do it the quick, fast, and fun way. And that means that we will go in here and we'll create a public string. And this is going to be our current color. And we'll default this. And we actually don't want to default this. We'll also make a void start. And right when we start the game, we want to get a random color. And we want to do this multiple times during the game. So let's just make a method for that. Let's call it something like set random color. And let's go down here in order to create it. Let's do this at the bottom. So void set random color. And because we know all of the different colors that is going to be in the game, which is only 4, and we know that we're never going to change this, it's all right to hardcode this in. So we'll go int index in order to get a random value between 0 and 3, meaning 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 different numbers, equals random.range. So this is going to give us that random number between 0 and 3. And we can then go ahead, depending on what number we got, switch to a certain color. So we'll make a switch statement here, and the value that we want to have different cases for is the index. And we'll open and close some curly brackets, and then we can write out our different cases. Now, I found out recently that a lot of people actually aren't familiar with using switch statements. A lot of beginners only know the basic if statements and maybe a for or for each loop. Switch statements is something that you don't use as often, but they can just be really handy syntax-wise. They basically allow you to more easily create a series of if statements. We could go in here and say if index is equal to 0, do one thing, else do one thing, and then else if index is equal to 1, and then do something else, and then keep on going for all of the different cases. But that is pretty syntax heavy, and it's also it doesn't allow you to do, or it doesn't as easily allow you to do stuff like default cases, breaking and or falling to other cases. I'll show you guys this in a second. So here we basically do the same thing. We say that we want to have a look at our index value, and depending on what it is, we want to do different stuff. In the case that it is 0, we want to do this line right here. And what we want to do here is maybe set our current color equal to, and we'll just use the first one, which is cyan. And we then break, which means that we exit the switch statement. Then in case 1, we want to set current color equal to yellow, and we then break as well. In case of 2, we set current color equal to, and then we go magenta, and we break as well. And in case 3, we set current color equal to, and we'll go pink. Cool. So we very easily go ahead and define different cases, and if I'm not mistaken, this is actually also lighter on the compiler, so this will actually happen quicker. But there might be some optimization behind the scenes where it recognizes these patterns in if statements and automatically converts them into switch statements. I don't know exactly how that works, so I'm not gonna put my word on it, but use switch statements. They're awesome. So we have all of these different cases, and now we should see that when we start our game, our current color gets set to a random color. So let's hit play here, or let's select our player, and let's hit play, and we should see the current color here set to magenta. If we try and do that again, it's set to yellow. Whoops, with a spelling error. And yeah, you can see the yellow again there. We also have the cyan. Awesome. So I just need to go in here, and this is really the danger of doing it this way, is that you are prone to spelling errors. So make sure to spell things the exact correct way. And thank you for also pointing that out in the chat. I might not have seen it. So now we set a random color. However, you will see that the color of our object doesn't actually change. So in order to change that, we need to access the sprite renderer and set the color property. So in order to do that, we need, of course, a reference to our sprite renderer, and we'll call this one SR. And we also need 4 different colors. We could just go in here and use the default ones, color.cyan and color.magenta. Actually, if it has all of them, it doesn't have pink. All right, we'll have to do it then. So we can go in here and define our own ones. We're going to create a public color, and this is going to be our color cyan. We'll create a public color yellow. That's a lot of extra typing for this one. Color magenta, and public color, and then pink. Cool. So down here, we can then set sr.color equal to color cyan. And down here, we can do yellow. Down here, we can do magenta. And here we can do pink. So color yellow, color magenta, and color pink. I think we made it, guys. I almost passed out at the pink one. Too many colors. Jesus. Imagine if we had 5 or 6. Alright, so why don't you use a color array and use the int as index? You could do that just as well, and it wouldn't make a difference. I'm just hard coding things in here because I don't want to do extra work, but you could just as well use an array if you want. So whatever you want to do. So that should now work. And if we exit out of Visual Studio, we can see now that we have a sprite renderer slot where we'll drag this one in. We'll have all of these different colors. So we can go ahead and color pick the cyan here and make sure that you bump up the alpha as well, or else it's going to be invisible. So make sure to max out the alpha on all of these as well. So we'll set the, whoops, that's not the pink one. There we go. And for the pink here as well. Cool. So now when we hit play, yes, we turn into a random color. That's awesome. We don't actually have this comparing of the tags yet, but that is really easy to create on top. So we had yellow twice in a row there, and now we have cyan. Cool. So now all we need to do is go into the script here and use onTrigger into 2D here to check if collider.tag is equal to our current color. And if it is, we pass without anything happening. However, if it is not, we messed up and bad things will happen. So we'll go in here and throw a game over. There we go. So now if we hit play and jump up here, so now we are cyan. So let's see what happens if we make the jump. Everything is good, but as you see, whenever I touch any of the other colors, it complains. Cool. And this is where you would go in and put some kind of death effect, some kind of shattering into 1,000 pieces and colors, some kind of screen shake on the camera, and then a way to restart the level. We won't be bothering too much with that. We can maybe go ahead and restart the level in just a second. But first, I wanted to show you how you can expand upon this. So the next thing that you probably want to make is a way for us to change color. So let's go in here and create another 2D object sprite. And we'll make this into a knob. And we can make this 2x2 as well. Reset the transform actually, and then make it 2x2. And we can drag this up on the screen here, and we can make this change our color. Actually, of course, if it's outside our screen, we need to also have our camera follow the player. So I actually just changed my mind. Let's leave this color changer here for just a moment while we make our camera follow the player. So in the original game, basically what we have is a situation where the player gets to jump freely, but as soon as the player passes the midpoint, our camera is going to follow him up. So we basically have a still camera that makes sure to always stay at the same, if not a greater Y value than the player. And so if we add a component here called something like follow player or follow target, and we double click that, and in here we again get rid of the system namespaces, we create a public transform, which is a reference to our player. We can call it either player or target. I'm just going to go with player. And inside of our update method here, we simply check if player.position.y is greater than or equal, or it's greater than transform.position.y. So if our player has passed our current position, we're going to set transform.position equal to a new vector 3, where on the x we have 0, on the y we have player.position.y, and on the z we have -10 or whatever your camera has. You could also go in here and input transform.position.x and transform.position.z. It's not really gonna matter too much in our case, but this is a bit more stable. It allows you to change things in here without stuff breaking. So yeah, let's see here. So people are saying random.range between 0 and 4. I do not believe so. Let's see here. So people are spamming this quite a bit in the chat. So I think for integers, they are both inclusive. So let's see here, random.range 0 and let's see here, returns a random integer between minimum inclusive and maximum exclusive. All right, guys, I'm sorry I messed it up. You're right. It should be between 0 and 4. Good call. Jesus. I almost messed that up. Yeah, that makes sense because it basically the inclusive exclusive stuff, it's made this way so that you can just use it with the length of an array without having to worry about it. And the length of an array is always 1 greater than the index of the last element. So that's why it's made this way. But thank you for the save, guys. The spam can stop. You guys won. Good job. Cool. So yeah, so now we have a reference to our player here, or we have a slot where we can reference our player, and we can just drag him in. And we should now see, if we play, that in the beginning here, nothing happens. And then as we continue upwards, our camera is going to follow our position. And it's not going to follow it down, because if the player starts falling down, well, then he's messed up. There's only one way to go here, and that's up. Cool. So then what we want to do is, of course, have a look at the color changer here. So I'm just going to go and make this black, or at least darker. And I think in the original game, it was multicolored, like on the circle here, so we can go ahead and make a fancy sprite for that. But for now, I'm just going to do the dark one here. And we actually don't need to add a custom component to this. What we can do instead is simply do the triggering here again inside of the player. I mean, that's a bit easier at least. So instead, let's go up here and add a new tag to this, and let's call this one something like color changer. And also on the color changer object, we'll go ahead and add a circle collider 2D, and we'll snap this in by just a tiny bit, so 0.09. Cool. So I believe that's pretty much all we needed to do for the color changer itself. Let's actually go ahead and turn this into a prefab. And we could do the same with the small circle, but I don't think that... Okay, let's do it. Let's turn that into a prefab as well. So now our color changer here, we simply go into Visual Studio. We check if code.tag is equal to color changer. And if it is, we're going to go ahead and set a new color. So we're going to say set random color. And then we're going to return, so that we are not going to get a game over statement. Cool. So if we now hit play, oops, we also need to set the tag for the color changer. Man, some of these things today, it's bad. So let's apply, and let's hit play. And let's see if this is working. So we make it through here, and we make it through there. And indeed, we change colors every time. Look at all the color changing. It's awesome. Of course, we also need to consume this color changer here whenever we do this. So let's go into Visual Studio. Let's say, let's find the place here. And we basically just want to destroy call.gameObject. There we go. Again, if you're going to make this a more serious game that you're going to work more on, separate some of this code out from the player script. It's not good to have all of this in one place. It's just not good and maintainable code this way, but it should work. So now we can jump in here. We can continue up, and it consumes it, and we change color. So that is awesome. Of course, I advise you to go in here also under set random color and add some kind of a check to see if the color you've chosen is the one that you already have. And if it is, pick a new one. So that's something that you can experiment here. You don't want to change to another color that you already have. This becomes a tiny bit easier actually if you're using the method where you add an array, because it allows you to kind of simply remove an element from that array, which is your current color, and then picks a random one in the new array and then put everything back in. But I think this method is simply too easy to pass up. Cool. So that's pretty much all of the logic that I wanted to show you guys how to do today. I mean, from here, it's just a matter of creating some more levels. You can duplicate the color circle and move it up here. We can make another version of the color changer here. We can go ahead and make another version of the circle, and this time we'll go ahead and duplicate it. And instead of just sizing it up here, I do definitely recommend creating another sprite which is larger but has the same width, because this way you are going to get varying width. And then for each circle here, we can vary up their speed. So we can do a negative 40 on this one, make it pretty slow. Actually, let's do the opposite. Let's make it super fast. Let's do negative 160. And for this one, we can go 100. And then for this one, we can go 100 and 150 here. So if we now hit play, we should see that we can actually play this pretty much the same way as the online game. Man, I suck. It's a good thing we haven't implemented scene reloading yet. So yeah, wait for these two to sync up and then go through. Wow, I'm bad. So yeah, so the final thing is just reloading the scene, and in order to do that, we simply go in here. We use using Unity Engine .scene management, and down here we say if collider the tag is not equal to current color, we throw a game over statement, and we say scene manager dot load scene, and the scene that we want to load is the currently loaded scene. So we get scene manager dot get active scene dot build index, because we need to feed it the index of the scene, and we then save that, and boom, we should have reloading when we mess up. So let's see. Yes, cool. So that's all I wanted to show you guys today. I hope you kind of liked our little mini game here, which I really need to improve on. Let's see if I can have like one go through. If I concentrate, don't talk too much. Oh, Jesus. Oh, this is the hard part. Nah, I didn't make it. I'm sorry. Oh, it's so bad. You're supposed to be good at the games that you make. Cool, guys. So I hope that you learned something from this example. And now we'll go ahead and transition over to a Q&A style theme thing, where you can ask all the questions that you want. And we're also going to have a look at the Ludum Dare games. So maybe also play some other guys' Ludum Dare games. That could be pretty fun. But we'll definitely switch over to a more relaxed format now. And yes, that is the tutorial end. So yeah. Remember that both this video will be up on YouTube, and the entire project with scripts, with the sprites that I use here, and all the project files will be up on GitHub. So don't worry about that. And also, if you don't want to wait until this airs on YouTube, you can go ahead and watch it immediately after on Twitch, but that times out after a couple of weeks. So let's go and switch to Q&A here. So there we go. So ask away with your questions, and I'll do my best to answer them as usual. So let's see here. Q&A time. Yes. So, are you working on some game yourself, or do you make tutorial video streams exclusively? I'm not working on a larger game project right now. It's not something that I feel I have the time to do on top of everything else that I'm doing, as you say, with the videos and the live streams and dev assets. But I love to do smaller hobby projects. Participating in Ludum Dare is just so much fun to do. So it's not because I don't want to, it's more a time thing. The video will air on YouTube this evening, so later today. I am, how old am I? 20 years old. That is my age. I seriously was in doubt there for a second. Can you make a video about writing basic shaders? I think doing something on shader programming could be really fun at some point. It's not something that I am too good at. I mean, I know how to write basic shaders and I know how to get some stuff up and running, but for example, for this first shader that I used for this Ludum Dare, I actually used another tutorial to do that, because it's not something that I immediately just knew how to do. Really great one by Alan Sacconi, so you can check that out. He does a lot of graphics programming stuff that you can check out. Let's see, when are you going to make a video about AI? Oh, soon. It is coming. I've actually been talking to some guys over at Unity, and we're talking about ways that we can kind of collaborate on video stuff with the Unity Learn team. And I know both for them and for me, like AI and nav mesh and the new nav mesh system is pretty much on the top of the list. So you can definitely count on something being made there. And someone has birthday. Congratulations. That's awesome. Let's see. Can you please make a tutorial about making a car that actually works? Something with car physics could be super fun. Definitely. I would love to do that at some point. Will you be doing a new tutorial series soon? I don't have any plans for a particular series right now. I've been enjoying doing standalone stuff quite a bit. I just did 3 videos on kind of shooter related subjects, which was all kind of for weapon related stuff, which was weapon switching, shooting with raycasts, and an ammo and reload system. So that was kind of mini series like. But I don't want to go ahead and venture out into any large series, Dino. What got you into YouTube? That's a good question. I actually started on YouTube with making, well, in the very beginning, it was montages of video games. I really over-edited montage stuff. I had a lot of fun with that. I started in Sony Vegas, just mixing things together, moved on to Premiere, moved on to After Effects, and yeah, I went crazy with that stuff. Like I did some Counter-Strike montages, some Call of Duty montages. I also did tutorials way back in the day on After Effects before I really knew how to do anything. So I hope you guys won't find them ever. I need to private them, I think. They are really embarrassing. But that's kind of how I got started with YouTube. Always been interested in the nerdy tutorial stuff. What's my favorite game? That's a hard question. It's been asked before on these streams. I actually don't know the answer. I'm sorry. Maybe World of Warcraft. Let's see. May I ask if Unity was the first game program you made as a new user here? If so, where can I hear about you? I'm not sure I understand the question, sorry. Let's see, have you tried VR? It depends on if you mean developing for VR or tried out some VR equipment. I've definitely tried playing some VR games, got my hands on the Oculus development kit when that was really new. I've also tried the HTC Vive, some of that different stuff. I've tried a bunch of VR solutions now actually, and it's really fun. It's never really been much of an interest for me per se. I feel like some people are really into VR stuff, but I don't know. It's fun for me, but I think it's not something I would personally use on a day-to-day basis, and it's not something that I have a huge interest in developing for. Let's see. Do you have a lot of experience in Unreal? If yes, how do you feel when switching from Unity and vice versa? I don't have a lot of experience in Unreal. I know my way around Unreal, sort of. And I've used it for some things, but I would never ever say that I have a lot of experience in Unreal. Unreal is something that you have to develop for on a day-to-day basis in order to be really good at it, I feel. It's a huge piece of software, and it's constantly changing. And yeah, so I'm familiar with Unreal. That's it. What age did you start creating games? Don't know. I think I started creating games when I was around 10. But when I say that, you must take it with a grain of salt. It was the simplest of software. It was an old version of Game Maker, not the current Game Maker that we know now, but a very, very bad old piece of software from another company, which was, it was so bad. I started making games in that. Moved on to the Blender engine, where I did a bit of the visual node scripting, and then discovered Unity and was just amazed about how much you could do and just how much cleaner of a tool it was than everything I'd been using so far. So I think around 10, but it didn't really catch on until I was 14 or 15 or something like that. Let's see. Will object pooling make a huge difference in performance in this case? Well, we're not instantiating anything, so you wouldn't need to apply object pooling. If you mean like enabling and disabling objects as we go, it totally depends on how long your level is. If you want to do a procedurally generated world here, I would definitely recommend it, especially because this is a kind of meant for mobile or web game, so that would make a lot of sense. What is the first game engine I used? Well, that was the Game Maker, if you can even call that thing an engine. It was so bad, guys. If any of you guys have ever used the old Game Maker and know what I'm talking about, I don't even know if don't even remember the name of the company anymore. But yeah, let me know. How did I learn coding? From tutorials, like 2 books and practice. Do you think it's worth it to learn C# at school or learn it yourself? Well, it really depends on how you like to learn. If you are very much a social person and need to be in kind of a social environment with others in order to learn something, then school can be great for you. Or if you feel like you don't have the discipline to sit down and learn a skill for yourself, then school can also be a good way to do that. You're put into an institution and you have deadlines, you have things that you must do, and you have a time where you need to get there. And so that can really help drive you along. Personally, I don't do well under that kind of environment. I'm much better at just laying out tasks for myself and then completing them at my own pace and because I want to. Also because when you are self-taught, you can go ahead and not maybe focus so much on the having to learn all sorts of stuff, and then instead focus on the fun projects that you can do and something inspiring that you want to make, and that can really help drive inspiration and fun in learning stuff like this. That, at least for me, that is the main thing, is just finding something that you want to make and then learning the tools required to make that. That's always been the way that I've worked. If I just sit down and say, today I'm going to learn C++, I might write some C++, I might get a better understanding of C++, but it's never the way that I get proficient with it. That only happens if I have a project where C++ is required. How long did it take you to grow your hair? Well, it depends on the length. I mean, this long here, it's really getting long now. That has taken a long time, like a year or something, but we're almost having cut it, like trimmed it only. But I mean, it took me 3-4 months to grow long hair. I don't know. Why don't you give object-oriented design tutorials? Well, I do a lot of tutorials on object-oriented programming languages, but nothing on like object-oriented design patterns. So I don't know why. Haven't had that many requests for it. That's why. Can you teach us how to make our game moddable? Moddable functionality really depends on the game, and it's something that you write particularly for every single game. If you mean creating some kind of moddable script or some kind of mod scripting language like Lua, there's plenty of tutorials on that. Actually, Cool18 is probably the person to check out. He's done a lot of stuff with modding games, so you can check out his tutorials. But I don't have anything on the roadmap right now. Let's see. Why don't you shave? I do shave. Please be nice. I shave regularly. Maybe not today, but like a few days ago. Let's see. Are you a programmer or is it a passion? Both. Which programs did you use for Ludum Dare? I think, guys, it's time to have a look at Ludum Dare. Don't you want to do that? I think I want to do that. Let's do it. Let's have a look at some Ludum Dare stuff. So let me transition over here to my main scene. There we go. Whoops! Look, there are hundreds of me dancing. Actually, there are as many of me dancing as there are pixels on the screen. Okay, so let's find it here. I'll just take away dancing me and let's go to the LD Jam website. So I'm just gonna log in here, and I'm gonna do that on the separate monitor here. And let's have a look at, first of all, of course, my submission, but also some of the other stuff on here. So cat first. Do you guys want to see the cat? Let me see if there's anything nearby. Doesn't look like they're here right now. I'm sorry. I will make sure to pick them up if they come. So yeah, this is my submission. It's called Shrinking Planet, and it's about a little red car that drives around the road. He likes driving, and suddenly the planet gets rained down upon by meteors. And it's about surviving as long as you can. There are links here for web, Windows, Mac, and the source. I'm just going to link this in the chat. There you go, if you want to go ahead and play it. And here are the tools used. So I have a bit of information here. You can check out the making of video. It's right here. I used Unity 5.6. Everything is written in C#. I used Visual Studio as the code editor. I used Photoshop to do all the graphics stuff. Whoops, I've forgotten one. I also used Blender. I'm gonna put that in here right now. I used Blender for all of the modeling. I used Adobe Audition for the sound, and Buzzcaseo, something, this software here for the audio. So, a lot of fun. And I'm just gonna go ahead and play this now. So let me bring it up. I don't even know if I have it installed on my own system, if I even created an installer. Let's go and find it under projects and then Ludum Dare 38. And here we are, builds, Windows, and here we go. So here's the game. Boom. And we should see that it jumps directly in here. Cool. And let me just actually turn on, whoops. Oh no. There we go, mute myself. And let's see, everything is going crazy at once. Panic. There we go. Okay. And let me turn on desktop audio here. Let me know how loud this stuff is and if I need to balance anything out. Okay. So here's the music and here's the game. And I actually really like the menu screen that I decided to do here. I like the fact that you can actually control the car during the menu screen here, so you can drive around. You will just be able to drive through meteors because I didn't want the player to die during the menu. But we have some controls, you can quit and you can play. And am I going through loud and clear? Just to make sure, I'm just gonna bump down the music even more here. Cool. Then we can hit play, and it's going to do this cool zoom out and zoom in thing, and we are in the game. And this is what it looks like. I ended up doing this UI that followed kind of the shrinking planet, which I really liked. I spent a lot of time on kind of the graphics polishing for this game, and wow, that was bad. Let's try that again. I did a lot of work on the graphics polishing. If you have a look at the smoke particles here, you can see that I'm using the new noise filter for the particles, which makes them look so much cooler. And the cool thing is that as the planet shrinks, so does the meteors here, and they will actually disappear after a little while. So you won't get too cluttered, but it's still fairly hard, and you have to have good reactions in order to do this. So yeah, that's the game. Let me see how far I can get here, and then we'll boot up the Unity project. Sorry, I cannot talk while I'm focusing on this. No. Oh, that's so bad. My personal record is 27 meters. I know it doesn't look like that right now. I think it's also the record. Actually, that's not true. My personal record exactly is 27.5, and Sophia's is 27.4. So please try and beat that. So yeah, let's boot up the Unity project here, and I'm gonna show you around. And I can see requests on me trying out Sebastian Leg's game, which, yeah, sure, why not? So let me open up. Wait, is it? Am I just totally missing it here? Oh, it's probably because I moved it. Let me just reopen it. And this is the Ludum Dare 38 Shrinking Planet. Let's select that folder and have Unity booted up. We can have a look at it. Let's see here. Cool. Yeah. And you guys got the link? Yeah, that's awesome. This might take a little while because there are quite a few assets in here. Meanwhile, while we're waiting, we want to boot up. Let's check out Sophia's entry, which I'm also going to link you. And let's find this with a direct link. It's called Meetup. And she did a really cute, I thought, and kind of original twist interpretation of the theme. It's about avoiding people you know on the street, so you don't have to chat with them. Kind of another interpretation of a small world, which I think was really nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw you a link here and check that out. I'm just going to boot up the web version here and show you guys what this looks like and see how well I can do. Let's see if everything's working here. Made with Unity. Awesome. So yeah, she's called Betty, our person of interest. And these are the people that we need to remember. So green, red, yellow, black, and blue. All right, we can do that. The music is really groovy here. I'm doubting myself at every single decision. I don't know. Is black? It's black. I think not her. He's fine, right? Yeah, awesome. And this one is definitely fine. I love this sweater here. Let's see. Not that one. He's fine as well. That one is dangerous. I think. Yes, good. Yellow is dangerous as well, right? You guys can just screenshot it and see how bad this is. Yeah, so I messed it up. So really cute game. I think stuff that could be added to this is a kind of a score modifier or a score counter that shows how many friends or non-friends that you've passed, and maybe also something that could kind of expand upon the depth of the gameplay is have an array of people that you know and have that slowly get larger and larger, so that the more you play, the more people you know, and so you both have to pay attention to that and remember new people as well as who is passing you by. I think that could be a pretty fun thing. And also, of course, when you actually run into something, have some kind of chat bubble appear where you're talking and you have to kind of sit through that. That could also be pretty fun. So, but really fun little game, I think. Pretty well done for a first time. Of course, I am also biased. So here is the project for Shrinking Planet. And if we go ahead and hit play here, I can play it in the editor. And if I just pause this, we can have a look around. So basically, the way that I did this was I created a planet which starts off at 1, 1, 1, and the graphic here is just a sphere that I made in Blender. It then has a Fox gravity attractor, and I used a combination of different tutorials in order to get this right, because I tried doing it on my own and I made it overcomplicated. And this one is super simple. It's something that I've done many times, just implementing normal gravity attraction. And then what I did was I wanted some object to not only be attracted towards the center of the planet, but just snap on top of the surface of that planet. And there I used move position to just place them at the top of the planet by getting a vector that points from the center of our planet, body.position, or transform.position, and then subtracted that from body.position, which is whatever we're attracting here, in order to get a vector from the center to our body, normalize that, and then multiply it with the scale of our planet times the radius. So just the radius of our planet. So what this allows us to do is, as our planet shrinks, our car is always going to be snapped right at the top of that planet. And that, together with a script that shrinks the planet, actually does all of the gravity calculations for us. Then all we have to do on the player object here is have a gravity body that places it on the surface together with the attractor, and then a player controller. And this is actually fairly simple. We simply move forward using rb.move position, and we don't have to worry about the fact that we are going in kind of a tangential line to where we want to be, because that's going to be handled by the gravity attractor. And then we simply apply some rotation to make sure that the bottom of our car always points toward the center. And we also apply some rotation on top of that that is input driven. And that's what I do here. I get, let's see here, where is this? That's here. I get a delta rotation by converting our Y rotation into Euler angle, or from Euler angles into a quaternion, and I then apply that to our current rigid body rotation, and I then kind of smooth it out a little bit. So, yep, ended up working. It's maybe not the prettiest thing in the world, but it ended up being fairly simple, at least compared to what I did before. And what I really like about this one is probably just the grass that I ended up making. I think it looks awesome. And it's really, really easy to adjust as well. If we go ahead and check the planet here and the grass shader, and I want to switch to the default controls here. Actually, let me just bring up the materials here instead so we don't have this highlight. You can see the awesome knobs here. And this is all thanks to the tutorial I followed by Alan Zacconi. You can see how we can still have smoothness on the planet. Not that this is something that you particularly want. I actually could use a little bit. And a metallic slider. But much more important, we have fur length. You can go totally nuts with this. We have the alpha cutoff for our texture. And the texture I used here is just a simple noise that I generated and applied a few filters to. The cutoff at the end here. We have the fading, the amount of fade at the tips. The gravity direction, if you want to kind of shift that in a certain direction, which is really, really cool that you can do that as well. The gravity strength. And we also have stuff like the rim color. Oops, this is something that I tried adding on top. Where is it? Rim power. Where did I place this? This is not, yeah, I ended up not using this. I remember I tried to add kind of a rim fill, but I didn't think it looked cool, and so I removed it. But for some reason I haven't removed the, I haven't removed the properties, but it was in there at some point. And also the particles for the meteors, I think, worked pretty well here. You can, if I bring up a meteor, you can have a look at it. There we go. And you can hear the sound here as well as we get closer. This is just me saying but it ended up working just fine. Actually, let me play this and have a meteor that is actually flying towards the planet. You can see I've messed up the shader here now, but it's all right. So here it is. So I think this ended up being pretty cool. I had a combination of trail rendering, some particles, and yeah, just a bunch of particles actually, and a light. If I go ahead and play it a bit further here, we can have a look at it once it gets closer to the planet. Let's take this one. Here you can see the actual light emitting on the planet. We have this trail here. If I go ahead and disable that, you can see the effect of this. So we have the sparks flying off it. Why is it not simulating? Oh, that's so annoying. Anyways, on top of all the particle systems, I have a trail renderer as well, which just helps kind of define it a little bit. And at the very tip, I made sure to have kind of a clear, if I select one of the other meteors, I have kind of a clear emissive texture that I painted in Photoshop. So that's this one under the particle system here, the renderer, the flare. This is something I went into Photoshop and generated using just some noise filters and a bunch of glow and a bit of color, and it really helped tie everything together. In the beginning, I simply used the default particle, and you can see that really doesn't look nearly as powerful. But as soon as I went in and created this, it really helped bring it to life. And then, of course, the awesome part is the smoke here has noise applied to it, which is what gives this random cool look. Also, I have some skies in here around the planet that are noticeable, but just kind of a nice detail to help give more of a 3D feel to the game. So, yep, pretty satisfied with the result of it. I'm just gonna undo a bunch of times here and jump out of it. And finally, did you guys have a game that you wanted me to play? I can check out Sebastian Legg's game for sure. If you don't know him, he's another awesome Unity tutorial maker. Check him out. He made a game about a turtle, which he also made a making of video on. I'm just gonna get a link to it here. Find that real quick. Let me see the chat. Let's see here. Yeah, let me just get a show of hands. How many of you guys participated in Ludum Dare? Just right, I did in the chat if you did. That would be awesome to see. Here we go. So I found his video, and here is a link to the game. There it is. Space Turtle. Right. So let's play it. It's on itch.io. And hopefully... no WebGL link. Wonder why. Alright, we'll just go ahead and download it for Windows here. Shouldn't take too long. Let's see. Oh. Yeah, awesome. Multiple people here. Oh, thanks for the link to Space Turtle too. I was too slow to see that. There's an LD Jam game here. Okay, so let's try out Space Turtle here. Let's Space Turtle. Extract all right here. Come on. Space Turtle. There we go. Let's boot it up. This is pretty cool. I mean, of course the levels here are procedurally generated, and he did a lot of work on kind of smoothing out the planet, and the ropes required a bit of math, and I can understand from his video that he had a bunch of trouble getting things to work as he wanted them to, but let's try it out. It's pretty cool that he also added a networked high score. You can check out his video if you want to learn more about that. I actually didn't have time to do any kind of high score system. I was too focused on graphics, so hats off to you, sir. It's nice. It's really good to have in these kind of small competitive games just some idea of how did I do. It's really nice. I think my game is very much lacking in that department. But yeah, you can see the ropes here. They are definitely working, and it kind of adjusts itself to the position of the turtle slowly. Whoops, that was violent. That was way too violent. Poor turtle. Yeah, and the planet explodes just using a bunch of rigid bodies. It's definitely nice. He also does a lot of other game development tutorial stuff. You can check out some of his other making of videos, or I think he calls them behind the scenes. Okay, I'm too bad at this. He did some jams as well, which were very polished. So let's see. Who participated? A lot of you guys did. That's awesome. If you guys have some links, I can try some of it out here. Got one here. This is from Yush Singla 991. Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, I really like the graphics here. That's awesome. And no WebGL. Why? Why are you guys so mad at WebGL? I mean, I should really be mistaken if this is not made with Unity. But alright. Anyways, I'm gonna download it. Looks fun. If it wanna download. Let's see. Yes, okay, so it's downloading twice now. It's alright. We only needed to download once. Room number data and room number .exe. I'm just gonna put it out here. Cool, it's transferring. And I need to bring up the chat again here because it disappeared. Cool, run. I'm excited now. I'm probably just gonna play this in window just so I can see everything else while it's running. Oh, nice. Room number, start. Oh, also, the music. Loving it. Start. I have no idea how to play this. Welcome to the room number. Here are some rules to play this game. Maybe you don't like it, but I know you will have a great mind. You can only move in one axis, move along all the tiles and stand in front of the gate to open it. You cannot move through one tile twice. You can see a cube in this level. Maybe it is an obstacle or friend. Okay, I didn't get a chance to read that through. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just gonna... Okay, it's a cube. Don't know what I'm doing. Probably just trying to get over here, right? Yes. No? Oh! I messed up. Okay, restart. Yes, yes, yes. I don't get this. Oh. Everything needs to be red. Right. Okay, yeah, I got that. But how? How do I get past this guy? This is too difficult for me. Am I being dumb or do you guys get this? I'm sorry. The setting is awesome here. I'm loving the click mechanics and I really like the highlight here. Click on the player. Okay, I have to read this. Click the character. Okay, of course. I'm sorry. There we go. Oh, this is awesome. Loving the sounds. And this shifting colors in these make it really nice. Oh, portals. Yes. So this takes me over there, I would imagine. And do I need to click on them to use them? I'm so confused. I'm just gonna move in this direction. Okay. And then if I move down here and then over here, is that correct? Can I do that? But I have to move here, is that alright? And then there, and over there? Yes? No? No. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. I suck too much. Really well done game. I think probably because I'm streaming right now, way too difficult for me, way too quickly. I suck. But I really like the feel of the game. The graphics are nice, and once I get that you could click on the character, it's also pretty self-explanatory what you're able to do. So awesome, love it. Do you have more links for me, guys? Here's one by Noah Callis. I'm gonna try it out. Here we go. Hey, this is not Ludum Dare. Where is the Ludum? Where is the Dare? 14 days ago. This is not Ludum Dare stuff. Let's see. Try what my team made. Yes. Bring it on. Okay. Play the game. This looks really cool. Game link. Yes, please. And download for Windows. Yes. It's downloading. Awesome. Let's see. What other games do we have lined up? Here. Awesome. So let me just drag these over here and we can boot it up. And I keep shrinking the chat for some reason. There we go. Just need to make sure that I don't miss something. And here. Cool. Tabletop Arena. Run. And again, probably wanna run this in Windows. What do you think about Window Frame, the winner of Ludum Dare 35? So cool. Hey, what's up? I was told to teach you how to play this game. Oh, so it's vast to move, yeah. Left click to stab. Oh yes. It's a dummy. Oh, this is... I'm already having fun with this. Okay. You're probably supposed to stab it, I guess. You can also dash by pressing shift. Okay, that's really rewarding. Yes, congrats. I love the sassiness. Yep. Okay, can I... Bye. Okay, that's it. Awesome. Let's do this. Play the game. Okay, so it's kind of an arena survival game. Classic top-down. Does dashing actually also damage enemies, or is it only stabbing? Ouch! Okay, it doesn't look like it. Oh, this is awesome. Loving the techno music as well. This guy probably... Whoa! It's magic. Ouch. This is just me embarrassing myself. Oh my god, Jesus. Oh, come on! Why? I can't hit the guy. It's not possible to be this bad. Come on. Jesus! What do I have to do? But... Yes! I did it, right? He's done. What else? Oh, that's a large fella. Ah! I'm dying! I'm out. That's it. Jesus. No. No more of this. No more public humiliation. I'm done, guys. That's all you're gonna get. I'm sorry. It's too horrible. No. Oh, it sucks so much. Okay. We're gonna wrap it up here, guys. I had a lot of fun today. Awesome playing some of you guys' games. We can maybe play some more next live stream. I know it's gonna be a... Whoops. Holy. I know it's gonna be a while then, since Ludum Dare, but I mean... Then we can also talk about kind of how we did and have a little post-mortem chat. That could be really fun. So that's it for this live stream. I'm sorry it went totally off track and we did crazy stuff, but I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well. And Of course, I will see you soon with another video. The video that comes out this Sunday is actually super awesome. It's going to be about the full post-processing stack, all of the different image effects. And also, it's the first sponsored video to come out on the Brackeys channel. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that's a thing now. I worked together with Skillshare to create a sponsored video, and that just means that we have an ad break in there. It's not something huge. I totally decided on the content myself and everything like that. So just want to let you guys know that you should be prepared for that. And definitely let me know when you see it and if there's anything I can do to improve that thing. I don't normally do sponsored content. And someone wanted me to say thanks for tuning in at Brackeys. Thanks for tuning in at Brackeys. And yeah, awesome. Thanks for tuning in, guys. It was so much fun. As always, it's going to be up on the YouTube channel. It's going to be live here or available here on Twitch right after. And thanks for watching. If you want to get more of this sort of stuff, you can go and support me over at Patreon. Patreon.com/Brackeys. It really helps things going or keeps things going and keeps the lights on. So that's awesome. And other than that, thanks for watching and I will see you guys soon. Bye. Thanks to all of the awesome Patreon supporters who donated in April, and a special thanks to Derek Heemskirk, Faisal Marify, James Calhoun, Cyborg Mummy, Cole Cabral, and Jason the Tito. If you want to become a patron yourself, you can do so at patreon.com/Brackeys.